My hands are literally shaking as I tell you this because a woman I once called my wife, now the HOA president at our lake, just opened fire on my family at our own cabin. There's blood on the floor, police tape across the porch, and if you think this is one of those stories that makes sense from the start, well, buckle up. Because the craziest part, this woman had no idea I actually owned the entire lake and all the land around it. Yeah, you heard that right. But let me back up a sec before this all turned into a bad crime drama on a Tuesday night. Sophie and I thought we'd finally found our peace. After years grinding away in corporate law and breathing car exhaust for breakfast, we'd saved up for a place that would let us start fresh, maybe raise a family somewhere with more birds than car horns. Lake Morrison was a postcard, crystal water thick trees, silence so deep you could hear your own heartbeat. Grandpa Bill, my mother's father, moved in after Grandma passed, and for him that deck was pure heaven, watching the sun come up with his coffee telling me, "Nathan, this place has good bones. Don't let anyone mess with it." And I believed him. Grandpa's instincts were sharper than any lawyer's. Sophie was dreaming out loud about kids fishing with their great-granddad, planning which corner would be the nursery, all that new chapter stuff you don't dare jinx by saying out loud. But even as I was finally unpacking the last box, her medical books, my old diplomas, Grandpa's rod collection, life had other plans. The piece got bulldozed the day a black Mercedes rolled up the gravel drive, the kind of expensive purr that's out of place by the woods. It stopped right out front and my stomach dropped. The sticker on the windshield, Lake Morrison Estates, HOA. My blood ran cold. Then she got out Miranda Cross. Yeah, my ex. She was dressed like she'd just stepped off the cover of a finance magazine suit, so sharp it could cut glass clipboard in hand, phone out every move practiced. Sophie had never actually seen her before, only heard the stories I carefully edited to avoid scaring her. Grandpa Bill took one look and I could see the weather change in his eyes. "Who exactly is that?" Sophie whispered, squeezing my arm. Why she looked like she owns the place, I couldn't answer right away. My mind was scrambling. Miranda had tracked us, moved to this area, gotten herself elected HOA president, and now she was standing on our porch with authority she'd manufactured out of thin air. She knocked that irritating rhythm of someone who believes you're already guilty. "Good morning, I'm Miranda Cross, president of the Lake Morrison Estates Homeowners Association. I'm here for your official compliance inspection," she chirped. That fake cheerful tone that makes your skin crawl. I tried to keep it civil, said we'd just moved in, didn't know about any rules. She dropped the smile and I saw the real Miranda peek through. Old ghosts. You know, the kind you think you've buried. Within 24 hours, we had our first violation. "Too much noise from the birds," she said. Next day, a notice for unauthorized dock modifications, old wooden steps that had been there since the Eisenhower administration. Then a pet violation for pets we didn't own. Each came with a fine, a threat, and that creeping sense that Miranda was just getting started. Sophie tried to keep calm, but I could see the fear set in. I called Tim, my law school buddy, who knows real estate law like the back of his hand. He did some digging. Nathan, the Lake Morrison Estates HOA didn't exist until 18 months ago. And guess who started it? Your ex. But here's the kicker. She has no legal authority over your land. You're outside her jurisdiction. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was furious she'd spun an entire legal fiction just to try to control me, and I still hadn't told Sophie the full story. Miranda was desperate to force us out, convinced our land was her golden ticket. What she didn't know, I'd quietly bought not just the cabin, but the whole damn lake, all 500 acres right under everyone's noses. It didn't stop her. 2 days later, Sophie comes home from her nursing shift, pale as a ghost. She showed up at my hospital. "Nathan, she said you were hiding things, that I should be careful." That's when I knew Miranda wasn't just playing HOA games. She was launching psychological warfare, trying to wedge Sophie and me apart. That night, Sophie asks, "Is there something you're not telling me?" I wanted to spill it all, the secret purchase, the years I'd spent covering every angle to keep Miranda out. But instead, I just told her not to listen. And I saw doubt flicker in her eyes. Miranda called an emergency HOA meeting. Her 5 real homeowners all pulled into her orbit by fear-mongering and lies. She framed me as the bad guy, the problem resident, the threat to everyone's property value. But she didn't expect me to show up with Tim and a folder full of deeds and maps. The meeting was tense as a courtroom. Miranda was all pageantry, waving glossy photos of violations. The homeowners, confused, were just worried about their investments. Then one asked the question I'd been waiting for. How does his land even affect us? That was my cue. I rolled out the property maps, showed the real boundaries, made it clear her HOA didn't extend anywhere near my land. Tim backed me up legal style. I finished it by pulling out the deed. This entire lake and all the shoreline is privately owned by the Blake Family Trust. Bought 2 years ago, all legal, all above board. You could have heard a pin drop. Miranda's face went sheet white. When I explained she'd been using their HOA for a personal vendetta, the room turned on her. Within 24 hours, they started the process to remove her as president. Local news ran the headline, HOA president overreaches, uses office for revenge. You'd think that'd be the end. But with Miranda, it never is. She called me that night, her voice ragged, hysterical, threatening everything from legal hell to bodily harm. If I can't control you as HOA, I'll find another way. I doubled security, notified the sheriff, tried to reassure Sophie and Grandpa Bill, but inside, I knew something had snapped. The attack came on a stormy night, wind howling, power flickering. Sophie shook me awake. Nathan, someone's outside. Suddenly the door exploded inward. Miranda, soaked and wild-eyed, baseball bat in hand with 2 goons behind her. Get out here now, she screamed. Her voice was gone, replaced by pure rage. They had a crowbar, a knife, and horrifyingly, Miranda pulled a gun. She waved it around, shouting about being humiliated, destroyed, lost. Grandpa Bill tried to calm her. She screamed at him, "Shut up, old man." Then it all happened at once. A scuffle, 3 shots echoing off the cabin walls. Sophie hit in the shoulder, Grandpa in the leg, blood everywhere. I tackled Miranda, knocked the gun away. Her henchman ran. She just stood there, frozen, mumbling, "It wasn't supposed to go this far." The sheriff arrested her right there on the bloody floor. The aftermath was a blur. Hospital room surgery guilt. Sophie told me, "Don't blame yourself," but how could I not? Detective Williams showed me surveillance photos. Miranda had been watching us for months, burning her inheritance on stalking, bribes, harassment. She blamed me for everything, for moving on while she fell apart. Sitting there, Sophie finally asked Nathan, "Why'd you really buy this lake?" I told her the truth about Miranda's threats, about wanting a fortress, about Grandpa Bill, urging me to make sure she could never touch us again. Bill told Sophie, "Sometimes protection looks like paranoia to outsiders, but it's survival." The trial was a circus. Miranda tried to paint herself as the victim. Her lawyer grasped at straws, even claimed I'd bought the lake with hidden assets. Didn't work. My records were clean. Miranda's lies fell apart on the stand. The jury saw her for what she was, a woman so obsessed with control, she'd destroyed everything she had left. 12 years, said the judge. Restitution, counseling, a restraining order. As she was led away, Miranda just looked at me, hollowed out. Years passed. Sophie recovered. Grandpa Bill became a legend, teaching local kids to fish. Our son William was born, learned to walk on that same deck. I turned the lake into a community nature preserve, opened it to families, schools, camp kids, where once we'd been hunted, now we were safe. Even the state took notice, passing a law to prevent HOA fraud. That at least felt like justice. Then a letter arrived. Miranda, dying of cancer, wrote to apologize, not asking for forgiveness, just wanting me to know she finally understood what she'd done. I visited her in prison, saw a different person, thin, tired, honest. She told me, "You were right to protect your family from someone like me." When she died, she left her remaining money to a shelter for domestic violence victims. Now, standing on my deck at sunset with my son in my arms and Sophie by my side, I know we made it through. not just by fighting back, but by refusing to let hatred define us. The lake is a sanctuary now, not a fortress. Justice was served, but so was forgiveness in the end. So what do you think? Was I right to spend $1.5 million for peace? Is there ever a good reason to go that far to protect your family? I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below about justice, about second chances, about whether community ever really wins over obsession. If you stood up to a bully, hit that like button and join the conversation. This is real life, and it doesn't always fit into tidy boxes, but if you ask me, fighting for what matters is always worth it.